Hey Mike, it's me Ian, and in today's video I'm looking at this. This is Billy Liar from 1963. And before I go into it all, well, I'd just like to thank Tony again for sending this. This is a great film, one I've never seen, and it totally surprised me. Yes, I've heard about it, but anyhow, let's get into it. 98 minutes long. It's been described as a comedy drama with a bit of fantasy in, but it reflects that period of what they call kitchen sink dramas, with like this new British wave of films that were coming out at that time, which were very influenced by French cinema as well. It all comes together in a way. Now, it's 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is how well film is considered. It's considered one of the classic 60s films. Now, the screenplay is by Keith Waterhouse and Willis Hall, who were both involved in writing the play of it. And it's based on the novel Billy Liar from 1959 by Keith Waterhouse. Keith Waterhouse was, he was born in Hunslet in Leeds. Yes, he's a Leeds lad. Hey, back he was. Anyhow, he was a novelist, newspaper columnist, writer, very well thought of. And there was actually a sitcom done of Billy Liar as well between 1973 and 1974. I think it had 2 series and they did 26 episodes. And I think it was on network at some time. But yes, I mean, Keith Waterhouse has been involved in such a lot of various things. He was in, in writing terms and in films and stage shows, and also as a commentator in terms of a newspaper column. Anyway, that's the background to that. Now, it's directed by quite a well-known director, John Schlesinger. Now, he came to prominence that he directed Darling. Darling was the film that Julie Christie really was, it established her totally. Though she's in this film, and this is considered as well a real starting point for her in her career. So, yes, he directed that, and then he directed her again in Far From the Magnum Crowd, 1967. Now, he directed Midnight Cowboy, 1969, which is an Oscar-winning classic film. Absolutely fantastic is Midnight Cowboy. Really great piece of American cinema that is considered very highly. He also did Sunday Bloody Sunday, 1971, which tackled I think a gay relationship in that. He was gay himself. He came out, I think, at the time of Midnight Cowboy. He also directed Marathon Man. Oh yeah, Marathon Man. That is a classic film with Dustin Hoffman and Laurence Olivier in that. Wow. Then he directed The Believers. Oh yeah, 1987, which is a horror film. And a brilliant film that I absolutely love is Pacific Heights from 1990. The one with Michael Keaton in as a real baddie. That is a film I love, which I saw at the cinema, and it, it just really resonated a lot. I did that film and with a lot of the audience as well. It's an excellent film, really is. Um, Now the music is by Richard Rodney Rennett, and apparently I've found this out that he composed the music in the Doctor Who first season story, The Aztecs, which is really considered, well, William Hartnell first Doctor story. Apparently, he composed the music for that. I just thought I'd throw that. But he was a really well respected and loved composer. Just did all sorts of things. Very good. Um, this also is on. One of the characteristics of these films was often they would go on locations, particularly in the north of this period. And here it was shot in Bradford. Yeah, Bayek, Bradford. That wasn't far from where I live in Leeds, was it? Hey, Bayek. Hey, no. Anyhow, Bradford's got very much its own history, and the landscapes, as you can see, the 60s landscapes of Bradford are very interesting to see. Yes, so let's get into the cast. It's dominated by one actor, which is Tom Courtenay, who plays the title role of Billy. What an actor. He's so well thought of now, today. Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner from 1962 was the one that really projected him into, the big time. He is also very much a theatre actor, he was as well, but into films here he was. And then this film, of course, it really sealed him. It totally, everybody still talked about his performance even today. It's one of those performances that just is there. It's a career one that just stands out. But the thing is, he was also in some other films like Dr. Zhivago, which was a massive film in 1965, and The Dresser, 1983, which was up. I think it could even have won Academy Awards. It won a lot of awards, certainly in this country. It may well have done some at the Oscars. I'm not sure on that, but it was very much an award-winning film, The Dresser, and of course, film that I reviewed is Let Him Have It from 1991, which he is superb in that, with brilliant Christopher Eccleston. What a great film that is! That's 1991, and then in recent years, he worked on King of Thieves. He was in that, which is the one as a group of old pensioner kind of people like me, oldies, who were planning a bank robbery. And there's Michael Caine is in that. Yes, a wonderful film. A lot of great actors in that film. So that's Tom Courtenay. Then we've got, as his dad, Wilfred Pickles, who plays Geoffrey Fisher. He has another quite interesting career, but the main film that stands out for him really is The Family Way from 1966. Again, in this sort of period of these kind of dramas. But it's his career really on TV and radio. He stands out, really amazing career he had as well. So he's in that. And then we've got Mona Washburn playing Alice Fisher, his mum. She went right back to 1934 in terms of her career. And she was in The Brides of Dracula, 1960, a Hammer classic film. She was also in the very popular, it's a sort of adaptation of a stage play, Night Must Fall, 1964. She was in The Collector, which I've reviewed not that long ago. That's with Terence Stamp. That's from 1965. That is an amazing film as well. That I didn't go over top of it with it. It's still an amazing film, but it's anyhow. Look at my review. Yes, there was some reservations on that. And he was in it. She was in If. She was in If, which is a Lindsay Anderson classic starring Malcolm, a very young Malcolm McDowell. What a film that is! If it's a total anarchistic film about the public school system, really. Fantastic film it is. That ought to get a lot more recognition, I think. Then, here we are. She was in Fragment of Fear, 1970. David Hemming's film. Oh, yes. And then Brideshead Revisited, 1981, which is, well, a lot of people really love that. That's another of those class films with a big hall and all that kind of stuff, I think. Yes. Anyhow, then we've got Ethel Giffys playing Florence, Billy's grandmother. She went back to 1917 in terms of her career, but she's most famous for being in The Birds, 1963, the Hitchcock classic. Small amount of films, but hey, wow, wonderful. Then we had Finlay Curry playing Duxbury. He another distinguished career going back to 1931. He was in The Great Expectations, 1946, the John Mills one. History of Mr. Polly, 1949. That's very popular. And of course, he's in the Charlton Heston classic Ben-Hur from 1959. What a film to be part of in that. Wonderful. Then he was in a film that I haven't mentioned before and reviewed, and it's excellent. Bonnie Lake is Missing from 1965, the one with Laurence Olivier in. Excellent stuff. What a career that is. Then we've got Julie Christie. Yeah. You see, I'm only mentioning Julie Christie now. But she, when she's in this film, it's only for about 20 minutes. She shines. She's absolutely superb. But I think she gets higher billing nowadays than, she did at the time. Anyhow, she plays Liz, and she, of course, has what a wonderful career. There's so many films I could list, right from Darling, 1965, Dr. Zhivago, 65, Don't Look Now, 1973, Go Between, that's 1971, Demon Seed, 77, Heat and Dust I talk about, that's 1983. She's in the Harry Potter one, Prisoner of Azkaban, 2004. It just goes on and on. It's just a classic, wonderful career. Then we've got Helen Fraser playing Barbara. She's very good in this. Her most, I suppose, standout film is Repulsion. She had a lot of TV things, very much involved in that. Just an excellent actress. Then we've got Gwendolyn Watts playing Rita. She was in these Carry On films. Carry On Doctor, 1967. Carry On Again Doctor, 1969. Carry On Matron, 1972. And masses of, honestly, the TV episodes. And I even recognise her from being on the buses as well. Yes, she pops up everywhere. Then, we still haven't finished. Leonard Rossiter. He's in it. Leonard Rossiter playing Emmanuel Shadwick. Well, Leonard Rossiter is fascinating, isn't it? Because he's famous for being as the comedian side, the comic side, Rigsby, and all that. But he was in The Witches. I'd forgotten about that one and I looked it up again. He was in The Witches from 1966. A brilliant Hammer film. He was also, of course, famously in 2001 Space Odyssey from 1969. That film is one of those classic films that is but I can't. When I see him, I still think he's more Rigsby. It's funny because in this one, and I don't think of him as Rigsby, you know, but in that other one, I do. Yeah, it's his voice. I think it was also in Barry Lyndon, which is not surprising because that's a Kubrick film. That's from 1975. I've not actually seen Barry Lyndon. I know I should do. I think I would probably enjoy that. But he's in that apparently. Yes, and as I said, Rising Damp and Reginald Perrin, yeah. And then we've got Rodney Bewes playing Arthur Crabtree. Rodney Bewes is an outstanding, he's one of those faces that you recognize. He was in Spring and Port Wine, which is another of those great films from 1970. And of course, he's really well known for The Likely Lads. He was in the original Likely Lads, 1964 to 66, I think, yeah. And then when it returned in the 70s, Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads, 1973 to 74, was in that. But then I've got to mention it because he was also in Doctor Who, fifth Doctor story, Resurrection of the Daleks from 1984. There we are. We've got Doctor Who connections. And that is quite a big cast I've gone through. But there we are. So, what is this about? Well, it's set not in a totally identified, but it's set in a northern town. And that's very clear. And the character Billy Liar, oh, well, it's really not Billy Liar, but we'll call him that. That's the name of the character. It's not Billy Liar. But anyhow, Billy is a character who he's kind of not fascinated by his life at all. He escapes in this kind of dream world, and he's got a job in a funeral director's, and he's not happy with that. His life he's quite irresponsible as well, and he lives with his parents, and they're always at him, and because he's always off, and he also does tell a lot of lies, hence why Billy Liar. And these lies sort of increase, and he creates this other world, but he's in his imagination is in this other world, and he's really involved in that. And then mixed with all this, he's actually got two girlfriends that he's engaged to, which is a bit of a complication. And the two girls are very contrasting girls. But then, of course, the third girl that he meets, the Julie Kirsty's character, she's called Liz, and she is his escape route, because he's always saying he's going to go to London, he's going to write all these scripts, and that's his escape route that he keeps telling people. And not everybody believes him. I don't think it gets to a point where he's saying so many lies. I mean, you don't believe him anymore. But it is very much he's does he want to take that step? You see, he's one of these lads who's come up from the grammar school system as it was in then, and he won a scholarship that would take him to university, though he hasn't actually talked about university. It's in that era, and that grammar school education was so important of the way of working class people getting educated and out, into the universities, and that period of transition in the 1960s is taking place, and then we see it in the town he's living in, where it's all been demolished. Progress, the slums have all been knocked down, and these new slums are being built, aren't they? All these flats and what have you. It's a period of transition, and this is what these films were doing at that time. They were showing the country how it was. The swinging 60s didn't hit the north quite like it did in the London era for a while, and there's a big contrast in the country, and it's a this post-war transition period is very important in the history of the country, and in terms of film, of course, and the directors that we've got here, he's directing this film as part of, in a way, of that trend and of that movement of films that were coming out, which have been coming out since the late 1950s, and it's superb. I can't say anything of the way he directs it and the way he mixes the fantasy with this, and the performances from Tom Courtenay. They just reflect that time. It's an exciting film in many ways. Probably some of you might not think it. Some people just think it's strange, but it's not strange. It's great. It's well thought out. I mean, it is considered a great. It really is a classic film, and this is. But maybe some taste nowadays wouldn't see it in that way. But it is superb, and it's great to see 20 minutes of Julie Christie. Any day of the week I can watch Julie Christie, and we see where she's coming from. And she really shoots to stardom in Darling, of course. But this is it. She just grabs attention just in those 20 minutes, and amazing, absolutely amazing actress. And the film is kind of sad in ways, but a reflection very much of that time. And it's such a wonderful film. It really is. I just feel it's got everything that you want of that period in time. It just reflects it so well. Superb acting, superb writing, superb direction. What more can you want? And the black and white kind of helps that sort of feeling, that transition, the post-war period of Britain. People forget that the Second World War wasn't that really long ago in this period of time. It's just over 20 years there'd been this Second World War, which totally devastated a lot of the country and changed it, and attitudes were changing. Of course, the American influences were coming over as well, their cultural influences. Things were changing, and these films reflect that period very much. And yeah, I could go on. I am going on far too long. And before I go, just to show you, this is it. This is a special anniversary edition. I think 50th anniversary edition of this film. And it's brilliant because the interviews and the extras on this are superb. What a great... And it looks good as well. The Blu-ray transfer is excellent. There's the back as well. I just love this. Tony, thank you so much for sending this. Wow. Really, I'm just so impressed. But I've been impressed by everything. They're all been really good films that you've sent. This is great. And that's it. So, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and then we'll let you know when I produce these videos. And have a look at the playlist and see if you like them. You might not, I don't know. But have a look. And if you like this video, give it a like then, because... well, it helps get it in algorithms, as they say, and out onto YouTube, and hopefully other people might enjoy them. And if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I really love to read your comments. I really do, by heck, and it all costs note. So you can't say fairer than that, can they? And that's it. So all I gotta say is, I'll see thee again.